Yo, 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 welcome to another edition of the Geeky Bros podcast. I'm your boy Tactix.
It's Darcy.
And this is Big Geek Umar. How y'all doing today?
Good. Trying something new there. Try not to say it's your boy because I feel like I'm just copying.
So we are going to jump right in it today because we've got a little bit of a packed agenda, and that being we going to talk about the Mandalorian because apparently that's been making a whole lot of news in recent days. Also, we're going to be talking about some recent casting information, and Darcy has a secret question for Tactix and I at the end. So let's get right into it. Darcy, y'all both see the season 2 trailer for Mandalorian?
Hell yes.
All right, so what were your thoughts on what they showed so far? Darcy, let's start with you.
Yo, I'm in. Like, it's the Mandalorian. I'm in. Like, I'm just like, I don't even need a trailer. I just like, you tell me there's a season coming out and I say when, and that's pretty much it. I actually watched the whole trailer and didn't even realize what the date was. I just like, I immediately in my head, here's the thing. It's like in my head, I just kind of assumed it was going to be like next year, like everything else. So I was just like, oh, watch the trailer. Cool. And I think I cut it before they said the date and I was like, cool. And I was like, done. And then I went online later and I was like, oh, it's like next month.
Yeah, it's like I think the day before Halloween.
Yeah, interesting timing.
Exactly. So yeah, also like the first season just like won a shit ton of Emmys too.
Yeah, I love that show. Like it was really good.
All right, T, how about you? What were your first impressions regarding the season 2 trailer?
I mean, I liked it. I don't really know what else to say. I'm not a huge like Star Wars fan, but season 1 had me captivated. I enjoyed it, so I'm curious to see what's going to happen with all the events that they kind of alluded to or left out in the open, like Baby Yoda, like what's going to happen with him and whatnot. So yeah, I'm excited. October can't come fast enough
for new content.
I just had to throw that in there. I just yeah. I'm just saying words.
You're gonna follow up that question while taking a drink? He's like, well, no.
I thought he had more to say. I thought there was going to be more to that.
Yeah, good timing.
No, I'm done.
Okay, so now that that was a little faster than I anticipated, but nonetheless.
That's what she said. I couldn't help it.
It was right. I'm pretty sure everyone in the audience probably thought it too.
They all thought it.
Okay, so speaking about season 2, you guys did you guys read the link I sent you regarding Pedro Pascal, like the guy who plays the Mandalorian?
Yeah. I also read a little bit extra.
Okay, so in case you read extra, excellent. So in case for our audience members who don't know, the man who plays the Mandalorian, Pedro Pascal, who was also in like Game of Thrones and like a whole bunch of other stuff, he has apparently, it's a rumor. The rumor is that he has left the Mandalorian halfway through season 2. So, I mean, it's really showing of like 2020 because like I believe that it happened because it's a bad thing that happened.
Ooh, facts.
Yeah. Like, this year has like it's made me believe that like it's kind of hard to like hope for the best or hope that like rumors are false, but like 2020 didn't really do that for me.
Yeah, well, also in perspective of the world that we're in, we've had a lot of bad rumors come out that turn out to be true. So this is just literally sounds like normal level, like just I don't say it's normal stuff, but like in context to a lot of other rumors, this is like like why? It's kind of like meh. Like so they didn't get he. So can I jump into what the rumor is? Like, basically, the rumor is that Pedro Pascal didn't like filming with like the helmet on so much, and that he wanted to have scenes with the helmet off. I read a couple of extra things around it,
okay.
And See, the majority of it was that like he wanted to have the helmet off. It's like the linchpin of the argument that they keep saying, right? And that there were disagreements creatively between him and the I forget the name of the person, but
John
like
Favreau?
it didn't say John Favreau. It said somebody else who was in charge, and that.
Derek Filoni?
No, it was somebody else, and that's the thing. I was like, I didn't recognize the name when I read it, but I was also tired, so maybe I'm just stupid. But the other thing too was that he apparently went above to Lucasfilms to after the disagreement didn't get resolved to try to get it further, like to get it going his way, and because the creative direction and Lucasfilms had some kind of like issue about where the show was going to go. That was kind of like they were already butting heads, and then they're like, no, you just went above our heads. Like, no, you're done. That's like a lot of the rumor mill that's floating around, which I mean, like I could understand the argument that he would be like, okay, he's getting tired of wearing like the costume and the helmet and stuff like that. But I kind of also feel like if it is a rumor, it's like, well, it is kind of BS too, because I mean, like he did a whole first season in that way. You don't think it's going to happen again? Like you
Also, like you did
isn't that part of his character though? He's like
that's the argument. That's
like exactly like he knew. It's not like he didn't know what he was signing up for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's the part that's kind of weird. Like the rumor sounds logical because it's kind of all obvious, and obviously the directors and the show writers are going to be like, the character doesn't reveal his face. Like it is the whole premise of his character, the whole basis. If they're going to do a reveal, it has to be a giant moment. It can't just be like, we're going to have some scenes, because then like now I understand if you're saying like, well, can we get more scenes where like I'm in private, or scenes where like there's a shadow and no one can see my face and all that kind of stuff, like create reasons to have his helmet off. But at the same time, it's like still kind of weak, right? Like, what are you adding to this to the show? What are you adding to the story just to have your helmet off, right? Like,
because like I can understand if they show his, because they showed his face for like literally 10 seconds in the first season in the last episode, and that was meant to kind of be like a just so you know what he looks like. But it sounds like at this point that it's more vanity. Like if the rumor is true, it sounds as less to do with like the integrity of his acting, or like the like him not being listened to. It sounds more like just him wanting to be on screen so people know who he is. And it's like, guys, like there are a lot of voice actors out there, and you for the longest time, no one knew who certain people are. Like Kevin Conroy, he's an epic voice actor, and hardly anyone knows what he looks like.
Yeah.
So first of all, I really hope this is a false rumor. Second of all, if it is true, it in this grand scheme of things, you're right. It doesn't mean much. But in the scheme of like me needing things that make me happy in 2020, and this was very much something that was going to do that, I don't need this shit on top of it.
So I also read some conflicting stuff. One of them said that like, okay, that there is a stunt guy. I forget who, he's related to somebody who does most of the body work. But then other sides are like, well, he's tired of wearing the suit, which that sounds like if either one of those is true, it's like either one's heavily speculating, because it's like how much I understand like the stunt work being done by somebody else 100%, but is Pedro wearing the costume all the time? Because if like they could easily, if they have a stuntman who is basically the same body build and he's like, I'm tired of wearing this outfit, then like, cool, just voice act, right? Because it's like no one's gonna know the difference until the helmet has to come off for a particular reason. So it's like you can get around that. So if he literally just wanted his face seen, then yeah, it is vanity. It is really about like being able to see my performance, but that's not the character.
Because I remember reading articles in the first after the first season came out, and that like it was Pedro and two other like stunt people who were basically the Mandalorian the entirety of the season. So I was like, okay, fine, he did most of the voice work, but like he was only there like a third of the time.
Yeah.
So if he's wanting to get more, like if he, like, I'm sure he got paid well for it, but if he's getting paid for a second season, which is already like super, you can like highly anticipated, like this was universally beloved by all Star Wars people, which is something that hasn't really happened of late. And also, it's something that has gotten other people into Star Wars. So, yeah, for me, I agree with you, Darcy. It feels like a fake rumor because a lot of it doesn't really add up.
Yeah, it doesn't add up strong, and they're easy reasons.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's almost too easy. I have a question here, and I'm gonna throw it out to Tactix first, just to like make sure he's involved in the conversation because he looks like he's like just chilling. So, one, if the rumor is true, and he left halfway through the season, how would you complete the season? Right? Would you recast the voice and try to continue on? If you think that's possible, or would you try something else?
So just to backtrack, and I will answer that question. This reminds me of did you guys ever see Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone?
Okay, yeah.
So
Not
it
that
was the
version.
same.
I'm gonna say the Carl Urban version.
Oh well, yeah, I'm gonna mention that one too. But the Sylvester Stallone one had a similar ordeal where they were Sly. He wanted to show his face on screen, right? And the studio executives were telling him that, like, listen, the character in the comics never shows his face. Why are we going to now change that like a very pivotal thing that's part of the storyline just to accommodate your vanity? And he was just like, well, I'm the star and what I say goes, kind of thing, right? And as a result, the movie faced a lot of backlash because of that. And then, when they did the remake with Carl Urban, like being like, a comic book geek or whatever like that, he maintained that integrity and no, you never ever saw his face throughout the entire duration of the movie. Yeah. Unfortunately, that movie didn't, it was well received, but it just didn't do enough money to warrant another sequel.
I like that movie.
I love that.
I love that movie. That movie was great.
Yeah, like, I've never seen so many fans like clamor in favor of something, and like this thing had like people raising money for it.
Yeah. I didn't know anything about the character, to be honest with you. I didn't know anything at all, and I was just like, "This is a cool movie." Like that's it.
Yeah, I knew a little bit, but yeah, no, I knew that specific point in terms of like, you never actually saw who Judge Dredd actually was, right? Yeah. So I always found that to be a very interesting element, and for them to change that kind of was like, it kind of goes against the character, right? In regards to this situation now, I feel like, anyone could particularly play that role. I mean, the voice acting for me personally, I mean, because his voice is kind of slightly modulated too, right? So I mean, for me, it wouldn't be a huge change. I understand it from a vanity sense, in the sense that, like, if you're part of a huge franchise, you want to be well known for that particular thing, right? It's like everyone knows Chris Evans as Captain America because you can see his face and people resonate with that. Same with Iron Man, same with all the like Thor and everybody, right? But when you have a person like this in this scenario, and Umar, you mentioned Kevin Conroy, sometimes there's like a disconnect, so people can't really, they can't really connect to the actor, right? But essentially, like with that reason alone, I think it's more so you're trying to connect with the character as opposed to the actor, right? You're supposed to like kind of separate the two, and I think with actors, they sometimes get too vain in the sense of like they want to be the face, they want to be the star and get the recognition for a particular role, especially if the property that they're attached to is going to be this big, huge, successful thing, right? But for me personally, in terms of my opinions, I'm not super attached to the voice, so if they were to change it, it wouldn't really make or break it for me, to be honest. But I mean, that might be different for you, Umar, who you're a big fan of Pedro, so I don't know.
Well, like for me, like I'll definitely be sad because I enjoy Pedro, but like Pedro, like I agree with you on a couple fronts. Like one, because he is a Mandalorian of few words, it's not like we're going to be missing that much in terms of like what happens in the show, because like almost everyone talked more than he did.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, what you were saying about like people being part of big franchises and like some of them don't mind not being obscure. Others want to have that aspect. Like Star Wars, not predominantly, like a third of the cast are people that you never see their face. Chewbacca, what's your C-3PO, R2-D2, even Boba Fett. No one knew who Boba Fett looked like for like 50 years. So it's kind of odd that someone who is in a, like, for one thing, to have fans and critics in love with Star Wars like property, that's not something that happens every day anymore. And that may be why he went the as you're saying, in the vanity section tactics, because it is something that's doing well, and like everyone else is seen except for him.
And I excuse me, I think it's a double-edged sword too, because I understand that you want to get recognition for like a successful property like this, but at the same token, it's like when you look at some of these, like take Marvel for example, and like the Avengers or whatever, like I know, like for example, Robert Downey Jr. I can't see anyone else playing the role. And also when I go and I see a movie outside of the Marvel universe with him in it, you know, it's hard for me to really unsee, you know, like Tony Stark, you know what I mean? And then same with Tom Holland now. Now he's doing Spider-Man. All these other movies. Like I'm having a hard time. Like for example, he's going to be Nathan Drake from Uncharted, and I can't see it. You know what I mean? I can't see it yet. Link, we mentioned it in the WhatsApp that he's playing Link, or rumored to be playing Link from the Zelda games. That I can kind of see, but even then, it's like it's hard for me to kind of like detach from separate from like that the characters, right? Sometimes they get typecast as, you know, like once you like do something like a Captain America or a Thor or Iron Man, right? Like, you know, Robert Downey Jr. he was doing other movies in between his stint as Iron Man, and like they didn't do all that well as far as I know. So I think even the public kind of agrees in the sense of like, yeah, it's, you know, we want to see more Iron. Yes, but that was like early on, like
that's true.
He was like he just became Iron Man, right? So in comparison to like now, like if he should do like branch off and do other movies, like Dr. Dolittle, saw that shit. I didn't see it.
Saw that shit. I mean, but like some movies though, like Dr. Dolittle, I'm like, it's just not even intriguing. Like if he dropped another Tropic Thunder, I think you would get a lot of people out to watch it, right?
Yeah,
because it's
Sherlock.
Sherlock
Holmes.
If he comes back with another one, we'll go watch it. Because that kind of goes to the fact that it was a pre-established franchise and he fits it perfectly. But like again, like if it doesn't fit well, so I have a two kind of things to throw here. As I was listening to you guys, I started thinking of something. So one, Pedro is not visually attached to it, and that does make him a bit replaceable, right? And I personally don't want to hear another voice. I actually like his voice in that character. I feel like it would feel jarring, even though he has such little dialogue. He would still feel jarring because there's a tonality to his voice. There's a fact he's speaking English, but there's almost a hint of his natural like accent in there that, like, you know, if someone speaks more proper English, it'll just feel like he's like 99%, but that 1% is special. And he's just his ability to sound super monotone, and I think nobody else is going to get that voice quite the same unless they hire a voice actor who is really good at imitation to never come on set and just do that from the studio, right? But the thing that I started thinking about was, what if he had an argument that was something else related, and then he started feeling replaceable, and then he started like bringing up a bigger farce with them, and then ended up having to quit the season. I don't know. There's like a level of him being replaceable that, like, if there was some creative differences, like I could see him playing a vanity route or something like that because he's trying to protect himself in the role. But I mean, I'm hoping we're not going to hear like, and now other rumors, this person is also a horrible person like these other directors we know.
So I can understand why the voices would piss you off because you guys watch anime subbed. For me, because I'm a dub person, I don't really give a shit. I'm just
Bro,
gonna throw that out there.
we're not going from like Japanese to English. We're going from English to English.
No, I know, but you guys
Wow.
can't even watch dubbed
Yo,
anime,
I
right?
don't even
I'm
know.
okay with it.
Why you bring this up right now, bro?
I'm okay with it.
Don't make me
I'm
don't
okay
make me
with
come
it.
over there. The dub versus dub.
And I feel like if they do things right, they're gonna get an actor or a voice actor to come as close to the original voice as possible, where it's not going to be as jarring. Obviously, you're probably most likely going to be noticing a slight difference, right? But
Kind of like how Avatar did the switch with Iroh when Mako passed away. They had to get like some new guy to like replace him, and they tried to find someone who could like do the intonations almost as well.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what was your opinion on that?
I rewatched Avatar and I didn't even notice this time. Surprisingly,
Yeah, because I didn't notice either.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay. I noticed,
like afterwards, like once I found out that the original voice actor had passed, and then I went back and rewatched some of those scenes and compared them. Yeah, you can if you're looking for it, you can obviously tell from the untrained ear. But I mean, if you being a fan of like his previous work, you'd probably be able to point that out more quickly than the average person.
I would say that I had an unfair advantage because for me, I was watching it as it was airing. So when he passed away, I knew about it. So and then I had like 6 months until the next season. So
I don't want to call it unfair advantage. I want to call that like the opposite of an advantage. Like that's not an advantage. Totally random. One other thing. So I started seeing this YouTube video talking about something. All this conversation with vanity is making me think of this, and I want to bring this up. So they're talking about the failure or an issue or something with the Fast and Furious franchise, and what they came to.
Tyrese.
No, Umar. So
I hate Tyrese Gibson. Fuck you, fight me.
No. Let me get there because it's actually not about Tyrese Gibson, at least not directly. Okay. So a lot of these like superstar action heroes actually have in their contracts a requirement for how they're represented. So The Rock and Vin Diesel. So for instance, like The Rock apparently has in his contract something about he in his fights, it's a 1-for-1. So anything that gets dished to him, he has to be able to dish it back. In other words, he can't get overpowered, or in some way, if it's like overpowering, it has to be cool. Like when he got blown out that window and then he saved the girl, right? The Rock isn't like his as an actor, apparently he's not allowed to run from a fight, but he could save a woman and leave the fight, right? And like he negotiated that apparently because they're trying to create a brand to take them movie to movie to movie, which yes, there's the argument that he has The Rock definitely has a brand that sells movies regardless of the quality of the movie, right? But the thing going back to the vanity of like Judge Dredd shouldn't take off his helmet, the Mandalorian shouldn't take off his helmet because it ruins the integrity of the film. That sly comment you made earlier is even more prevalent now because they're making sure their brand is protected over the story at times. And so,
but if that's the case, yeah. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, if that's the case and that's in the contract, like prior to signing on, then why would you sign on knowing that in advance, right? Like, I mean, if there's a clause in there or there's a thing in your contract that states, oh, my face must be visible at all times for any project that I'm working on, then why the fuck are you the Mandalorian? Like,
well, I think I think this situation, if it's true, is that he signed on and not really knowing if this was going to take off, and also the brand was more important than his franchise, like him as a person, because
then that's still his bad.
Exactly, but at the same time, I like you would almost like literally everyone. Reviewers, viewers, and like even people behind the scenes and stuff like that. Everyone was saying how much they respected him for doing this. And yeah, you're not like getting as much like for the layman. They're just like, oh, there's some dude in a mask, and then like we see him for 1 second, and no one can tell if he's like the guy from Game of Thrones or the guy from the Gentleman, like one of the villains from the Gentleman, nonetheless. But I can understand. I agree. I can understand the reason why the vanity would be frustrating at times, but at the same time, you're kind of you're like you're like the head lead of something that's really really important, and you're kind of making something that everyone loves, and it's not exactly it's not like he's on there for very long. It's like what 12 episodes, 10 episodes, a half hour each.
Mm-hmm.
You can shoot.
Are they half hour? Or are they longer?
Some
No, they're
of them.
longer. They're like an hour.
I think they're close to an
No,
hour.
some of them were definitely like 20 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes.
Oh,
But they did.
bro.
Some of them varied in terms of length.
Are you sure? I feel like they were all. Oh, actually, no. I think maybe you're right.
I remember some of them like when they were done, I was like, wait, that was it? Because like they're like kind of like shorter stories that you could like say. Others were a little bit longer, and you needed to stretch it out. But like it like varied between I think like 20 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, it was 29 to 38 minutes was the range. I just googled it.
Okay, yeah. So that like, and they're 12 episodes, right?
I didn't look that far. I have another thought here. So one, if he left over vanity reasons, I think for me it's gonna hurt my view of his brand, right? Like I'm gonna be like, I'm not looking forward to your next film. But there is another thing that if this is true, then I'll respect him. If Umar, and tell me if you know this answer, do voice actors get paid significantly less than regular actors?
Yeah.
So if he was trying to negotiate between season 1 and season 2, and they were like, no, you're really just a voice actor. He's like, no, I'm really the brand. Like, I'm big in part of this. And there was a real dispute where they were taking advantage of him financially.
Yeah, okay. That changes things.
Okay, that very much changes
then
things.
I would be like, then I could understand, be like, I want my face. Right? Because he's like, I only got like 10 seconds of screen time. So I only got 10 seconds of acting. And then like the rest of it's voice acting. And if for his name and for everything, I can understand if they're like, if you know, you're thinking he's out here making at least like 300K and he's out here making 30K. You're like, bruh.
Yeah, no, because like no, that makes sense because also if it's also true that he was only on set for like a third of it because the rest of the stuff was action and you needed a stunt double to do those action sequences, then I agree with you because that's not only is he not being allowed to be there on set, and then they're saying, oh well, you're not really an actor because you're just above a voice actor. Okay, no, then I can agree because that is him trying to. It's him saving his brand.
Yeah, and especially if it's COVID too, and they're like, well, you know, COVID, blah blah blah, and he's like, yo, he's trying to make sure maybe like they agreed this contract for season 2, but then COVID happened. They're like, well, we only need you for this much, and they're like, all right, we're gonna cut 100, like half of your revenue, and he's like, half. Right, and then he's like, "Well, then I'm gonna be here for half the season."
Yeah. Okay.
For myself.
All right. So now that we've talked about that for a while and we've kind of like touched on it, let me ask you guys this: what were your first of all, I'll just say that the answer was there are 8 episodes for the first season. So 8 episodes from 29 to 38 minutes. Really is not, in terms of filming, that's a really short amount of time. But anyway, what were both of your reviews of season 1 of The Mandalorian? And Tactix, I'm gonna start with you on this one.
Well, shit. Okay. I really enjoyed it, and that says a lot coming from a non-Star Wars fan. Not to say that I don't like Star Wars. I'm just not deeply invested in the lore like you guys are. But I found it very entertaining. Thanks for the hookup with the Disney Plus password, Umar. Appreciate it. And
either.
And I was thoroughly invested in the storyline. The Mandalorian himself as a character is really cool. I like the whole arc with Baby Yoda. Again, the action scenes are really, really cool and very interesting. I'm curious to see where they go and they take this with season 2. Season 2, the trailer, like we said, looked really dope. I don't really know what the fuck is going on, but everything looks pretty cool.
I just love when Baby Yoda is like, oh, he's going to start killing some people, and he just like,
yeah.
Oh, that is the best.
Yeah. So yeah, season 1 was dope, man. I'm interested. I'm in.
What was your favorite part or favorite character?
I love the Baby Yoda, man. Like that, like you can't not like Baby Yoda. Like anytime it's on screen, like you're just kind of like, oh man, I want one, you know. But favorite, I guess my favorite episode was when they were. Oh, I don't see. I don't even know how to explain it, but they were on like another ship or whatever, and he was working with those other the prison break thing. Yeah, where he was like he was trying to break the other prisoner out, and he was like on that other spaceship with the other troops or whatever. That was fucking sick. Yeah, a lot of cool fights in there. So yeah, that was probably one of my favorite scenes that I can remember off the top of my head.
Okay, how about you, Darcy?
Darcy.
Yeah. I loved it. I loved it. It was equally good at being both Star Wars and yet more accessible. Like not all Star Wars is accessible for everybody. As in it's some of Star Wars feels like you need to know something before coming into it. And so I love that it was all of that. And then it was also like different, but it always felt like it was in that world. I have to say it's Baby Yoda, the Mandalorian, and then what's her name? Our girl from Deadpool / she used to be
Gina Carano.
Gina Carano.
Yeah.
She's Cara Dune.
Oh, I love her. I just love her. But my favorite scenes, I gotta put it out to. Actually, my favorite scene isn't a Baby Yoda scene, but my all my like secondary favorite scenes all together are the Baby Yoda scenes. Like, I love when Gina and the Mandalorian are like facing off, and then like you just get the Baby Yoda like with the soup in the background, just. It's so good. But my favorite scene, because it was even more unexpected for me, was when the two stormtroopers were sitting there on the bike having a conversation.
Those guys.
Like, it was because it was such a like you came off the last episode, and the last episode ended so sad because the mechanic dude like got killed, and you're like it's so sad, and you're waiting to get into this like dark thing, and then these guys are just having like the most random hilarious conversation, and I'm just like it gave me so much relief that I was like, this who wrote this? Like,
I love the fact that they're both trying to shoot a literal twig, and they couldn't even get that. It was like a stationary twig, and they're like, "Nah, man, I can't do this."
I know, like 100% in the stormtroopers can't hit shit problem.
I also know that Jason Sudeikis was one of them.
Oh, I gotta Google about it.
He's Olivia Wilde's husband.
Oh yeah, I mean the thing that's awesome about Star Wars is like people sneak on a set. Like Daniel Craig was in like in the
Yeah, he was in Force Awakens.
Yeah, he's like he was like just like they're all over the place. There's still probably more celebrities we just don't know are in these movies because they want to be in the movies and they don't.
Jason Sudeikis gotten so much shit online because everyone's like, "You fucking punched Baby Yoda, you motherfucker!" And he was just like, "You guys, it was a job." And they're like, "You're dead to me." Yeah, I'm like, "Ooh."
Yeah, I know. There's pretty much like there's killing John Wick's dog and then punching Baby Yoda. Really close. and the results of who you're gonna face off with are pretty much the same.
Yeah, you're just like, oh man, I did not think my life through.
Yeah, exactly. And yourself?
Okay, so you're coming from a guy who, as Tactix is saying, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan. I am just a knowledgeable.
What?
You take the two of us, put us together, then multiply that, and you're still getting close to how much deeper you're into it than we are.
But the thing is, I prefer Star Trek.
Yeah, it's fair. I know you do.
Star Trek is like where, like, if that stuff, I know shit.
So, guys, right now in the comments, if you want to give Umar your hate for being a Trekkie over a Star Wars fan,
fuck you, fight him.
You need that on a shirt now, bro.
I'll be like, ugh. But anyway, but nonetheless, like I came off of watching the sequel trilogy, which was, well, it was at war with itself and the rest of Star Wars. It just what happened there. Anyway,
It's
so
basically Justice League theatrical cut.
actually, yeah, that's actually a really good analogy because that like all the behind the scenes situations going on with that sequel trilogy, including with the whole John Boyega thing about racism, like holy shit.
You know, there's probably a new movie company being opened up by the same people who used to work at WB and used to work at Disney.
They probably all got together and were like, "Yo, man, let's just." Tactix, do you know about the John Boyega thing?
He was making claims about how they didn't know what to do with his character, and
they purposely actually
others...
axed him. Yeah, like they're like, oh, we're going to promote that we have a black lead, and then not do shit with him. And then he was also taken off of certain advertisements.
And not back him up when clearly he got a lot of racist backlash, but would back up other stuff. Like then they back up Ray for being a female lead, but then didn't back him up and all that kind of stuff. It's just like it's like you're saying about WB. If you're gonna allow someone to choke somebody, make sure that policy is in line with every other policy. Don't be like, hey, you know what? We'll back this person up. But if you're black, good luck.
That's kind of what America is right now.
No, that's a whole other conversation, Umar. Let's not go there yet.
I apologize. We just got very political. But anyway, so going back to my original statement, Star Wars had hurt me. It hurt me big. And I was kind of like, guys, this is kind of consistent because, look at the prequel trilogy. Really, the only thing people have really liked was the original trilogy. Yes, tons of people loved all the Clone Wars shit that was going on. I mean, yeah, exactly. Other people, well, actually, I've noticed a lot of people now are like, you know what, the prequel trilogy wasn't that bad, and frankly, I think it was more Star Wars than anything else. And I'm just like, did you pay attention to the writing, dialogue, and acting, and directing?
They're just ranking them because now they have something else to compare it to.
Anyway, so I went into Mandalorian a hurt, mild Star Wars fan, and then it saved me with Baby Yoda. Seriously, Baby Yoda alone probably was like, okay, Umar, if you love Star Trek more than us, does Star Trek have me? And I'll be like,
Umar, are you going to turn your webcam and we're going to see a shrine to Baby Yoda on one of the...
He's a baby, man. Granted, he's older than me, but still.
It's just starting to feel a little religious right now, bro.
Nonetheless, I will say that The Mandalorian was everything I didn't know I needed from Star Wars. And, I mean, they got Carl Weathers in there, and it was awesome. I did have one of my friends be like, oh, Lando Calrissian is now a bounty hunter? And I was like, yeah. Tactix, your reaction was kind of me. I'm like, I don't want to be the one to say it, but I don't think I'm the only one who knows. Wow. Hey, yeah.
Because we all look alike, right? Yeah.
I wonder what that person would have said when he was watching Mulan. But anyway.
It's like a whole film. They're like, why is there only one actor? Oh my
God.
Please just
close this guy's really good. He's in every scene. He's even talking to himself. That's crazy.
I saw something from Mulan. I don't know if it was something someone shared, but they're saying they're going into it and they're saying a woman who dresses up to be a man and convincingly, and they just show you her. And I'm like, there's none of these scenes.
Honest trailers. Honest trailers did that.
Yeah, it's like it really doesn't look like it's they did a better job in the cartoon of making her half the time in the cartoon I was like, you guys are kind of easily fooled. In this, I'm like, you guys are stupid.
She didn't even make her voice hoarse. Anyway, we went down on a Mulan track. Nonetheless, I loved Mandalorian. I loved Gina Carano and Cara Dune. I'm still kind of iffy with her current controversy, but still, I'm kind of hoping that it's not as bad as it seems. Pedro Pascal, like Tactix, you said, I'm a fan of him. I'm really hoping these rumors don't turn out to be true in the sense that he's just a plain vanity dude. But the action was on point. The the mythos, the creation of the mythos was fantastic. The fact that they essentially made the Mandalorian culture the front and center, not the Jedis, not the Sith, not the Empire or anything like that. It's just, hey, they're just here. The Mandalorians, here's what they do. This is the way. Hashtag. So also they had that awesome guy who's always Nick Nolte was just like, I've spoken, and I'm just like, also, how could we not say it? But Giancarlo Esposito.
You just wanted to say his name.
Well, that too, but at the same time, my man's killing it right now.
Yeah, he was good. You know what though? Kind of like my final note on like Star Wars is like their biggest opportunity, and they need to do more of it. Is to do more stuff in the lore of Star Wars that has nothing to do with the original trilogy and those characters.
Agreed.
Right, like Rogue One is only exception where it was like really good, and it the whole time wasn't really about the original trilogy, and then it had like one really cool scene and it connected everything together.
Well, Rogue One, the entire film was essentially to fix a plot hole in the in the first movie.
Yeah, but I just mean like we didn't spend the whole time like learning about like the Skywalker family, the whole film, and the like, right? Like, and we still got a Skywalker in the film by the end of it, right? Like, but it's like this is a good example of this, and like the Clone Wars is obviously about those, but it hinted at so much of the universe. Just, I mean, they have such a big universe. They could tell a lot of really good stories, unlike like the Solo film.
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that bad, honestly. I enjoyed it, but like they can tell more stories in that universe with characters on different planets, and they could be really deep stories, and it would be easier to tell them because you don't have to tie it back to like your MCEU, so to speak, right? You know, like your main cast. So that's it for me.
Sorry, I'm always taking sips at like the most impromptu times, but yeah. So for me, I love the direction. I love the aesthetic. I love that we went to a whole bunch of places, and it was like just I love the time period. The fact that this is like just after the Empire fell, and like it's chaos. And whether you're a fan of the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, or the sequel trilogy, there's always something that you will find in relations to all of them. And also, it's done well. Like it's written well, it's acted well, it's got. And Darcy, you know better than even I do how amazing the special effects is on that stuff.
Yeah, I love the way that they filmed The Mandalorian. I like. If you guys haven't seen it, you got to go check it out because they basically do this like giant room with screens that cover everything, and then use computer generated graphics and like an augmented reality hook up to the camera that like changed the background. It's just like I'm excited for that because it means so many more films and TV shows could be filmed quickly with better lighting, with better acting because they'll feel in the environment. I'm just excited for it. So,
what franchise would you want them to put that technology in next?
Every like anything that requires you to put a green screen or blue screen on it.
If you could choose one though.
But the thing is, it's like it's not limited to like a genre because it literally could be like, oh, I want to do like being downtown at the CN Tower, and you could just do that, right? Because you're just generating the environment as long as you can map it. But I mean, like what things definitely needed up front. Every superhero film needs it really badly because is like unless you get to a point where you can't build a big enough set or something for the scene, it's just it's efficiency and it's going to bring down the amount of CGI that is required, right? It doesn't mean you get rid of CGI, but even your CGI will get better. Like let's say you're doing something with like Scarlet Witch and all her powers and stuff like that, but you have the lighting of the room and you could do like light reflections in the background to when her powers would happen, but just not have it come out of her hands. Then you could get a lot of lighting right, and then you just got to animate in that thing, and the animators will be like, "Oh, so much lighting is already figured out that now we can get it perfect and actually spend less time doing it." And that means they can do even more with certain effects because they're not spending time on other things. So superhero films, 100%, but really anything that requires a lot of green screening.
Okay. So yeah, like I love the Mandalorian. So I'm very much looking for season 2, and yeah, I think we can move on to our next topic, which is something that just was released yesterday. And so the She-Hulk, it's a movie, She-Hulk movie, it got its director, who I'm not very familiar with her, but like nonetheless. But what was told yesterday is that Alison Brie no longer is going to be She-Hulk, and in fact, it's going to be Tatiana Maslany. She's a Canadian actress who was in Orphan Black, was like her big, huge breakout role. And Tactix, you know how you're joking? Oh, sorry. I think it was actually Darcy when we were, or was one of you guys were talking about the fact that watching Mulan, the person's like saying they got the same guy for every role. That actually happened in Orphan Black. She played, I think, like 8 different characters, all of them her.
Yeah.
So
I only watched like season 1 and maybe part of season 2. I can't remember. I fell off though.
Yeah. I fell off, I think, after 3rd season. But no, she is possibly one of the best actresses I've ever seen. And do you remember Split?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Think of her basically like a female version of what James McAvoy did.
I saw a couple episodes. I'm familiar with Orphan Black.
Oh, okay, sweet. Okay, yeah. So nonetheless, for me, I am very happy with this choice, because you guys know that I was okay with Alison Brie. I personally thought that they needed like a different actress, and I personally wanted Stephanie. She plays Rosa from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah.
That's who I really wanted. But frankly, this one makes me just as happy. So I'm like super happy about this news. But like, how about you guys? What do you think about this?
I mean, yeah, I started saying that when you said his name. Go on.
I was kind of hyped for Alison Brie.
Okay.
I would have loved to see Rosa play the role even more so than Alison. I don't remember Orphan Black enough to really give my thorough opinion on how I feel she might do in the role. The fact that we are getting a She-Hulk is interesting, and I'm looking forward to it. I mean, I'm not over the moon about it, but I mean, I'll give anything that's Marvel or DC a chance, basically. So, yeah, man. I mean, a little sad that it's not Alison Brie, but I'm open to this girl as well. So,
may I ask, why is it that Alison Brie like had such a strong place in your heart for this role?
I just liked her character on Community. I liked what she did in what was it? Women of was it Glow?
Oh, Glow, yeah, Glow. Yeah.
Gorgeous, yeah. I
ladies of wrestling.
Yeah. So I found she was really good in that. And yeah, I wanted to see what she would have done with the role, and like the fact that they were looking for an Alison Brie type to play the role, I thought more or less that was the initial choice that they were going to go with, and they just kind of went in a different direction suddenly. So I was a little shocked by that when you posted it in the WhatsApp group. I was like, what? But yeah. Again, like I said, I'm open to it. I don't know a whole lot about She-Hulk as a character. So, again, that's another reason why I don't really have a strong opinion on it. I mean, anyone could really play the role at this point, and I'd be like, okay, cool, whatever. So, yeah, that's my opinion.
How about you, Darcy?
Right now, I'm feeling like Marvel is the casting equivalent of that girl in high school that you liked, but was only your friend and kept you in the friend zone. He's like, yeah, I need an Alison Brie type, but not Alison Brie. It's like, it's like I need a great guy just like you, but not you. Jack was saying like, yeah, they need an Alison Brie type. I'm like, ooh. So
wait, but what was she? Did she ever have the role though, or like was that ever confirmed, or was that just a rumor?
I think that was like she was in talks. She was in like heavy, just like I think they were like filming out contracts at that point, but it wasn't done.
Yeah,
that's a slap to the face though, because it's like, but I'm Alison Brie. I'm what you're looking for. And it's like, nah, we're gonna go in a different direction. I'm sorry, but you got great personality. We love that. We're gonna take that. But
Yeah, we just need a great girl, okay? We need a great girl, a lot like you, okay? But just not you. You know what, though? I think I heard that Alison Brie was attached to something, or they were really looking at it for some Marvel property. So you never know. We might come out and just find out, like, they have another thing. Like, obviously, at some point, they were heavily thinking of her.
Yeah.
I think I'm like, yeah, she's a killer actress. I'm game. I don't have a lot of like invested in her or the movie, but I have no gripes, right? Like I have nothing that's gonna be like, oh yeah, no, I don't, no yellow flags, just go. I think the one thing that's gonna be interesting is because like when she
Transforms
and stuff like that. Like, will she get taller and stuff like that? Because she's a short woman, right?
She's very short.
Short woman. So it's like, I think it would be interesting, like, what they do, because I feel like if she stays short and strong, it could be, if they want to be comedy aspect, it could be funny, or they could they could do CGI and make her taller and to make her more intimidating when she becomes adult. I just literally think that because she's actually so short, that's actually a consideration that you could play with. Whereas someone like Alison Brie was just naturally already like at a pretty average height, so you wouldn't think about that. But
100%, they're going to do CGI with her, just like they do with Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, more than likely. But it just would be kind of funny though if it's like she doesn't get taller. If they really want to be funny about it, it's like, you're like, what? And then she's just ridiculously strong.
Okay, so we'll move on to our last item. Darcy, you had a question for us.
Yeah, and by the way, it's not a secret question. At the beginning, you're like, "Oh, Darcy has a secret question for us." I'm like, "What is this podcast?"
You were writing it down, but you didn't tell us.
Umar's just full of secrets this week.
Yo, bro, a secret question. I told you at the like before the episode, I was like, "Oh, you guys want to ever do this kind of like thing?" And you're like, "Yeah."
I thought you said you had like a secret, like a question, and you need to write it down. You're going to let us know.
That was the other topic idea for another episode.
Well, I'm sorry, I got confused. I lied too much. Everything's like jumbled in my head.
By the way, guys, yes, we do plan ahead. Okay, even though it doesn't seem like it, we apparently plan ahead. So today's last topic is guilty pleasure films, the kind of film that you absolutely love and you shouldn't love it because it's not a good film, but you love it anyways. So I'll kick this one off. My guilty pleasure film has been, since I saw it, is Starship Troopers. I love it. It is, everything about it is corny. It knows it. It was on purpose. It was well timed. I love it. I love the very like World War II narration kind of style, like the propaganda stuff layered over what they think the future will look like, the craziness with the bugs, like the one that Umar's getting right now as he's coughing in the background. I don't know. It's like, it's everything from like, it's got some gore, it's got some thrill, it's got like everything a teenage boy wants with hot chicks and like it's all of his fantasies.
I was just gonna say, I'm like,
it was everything. It felt like a high school movie because it was at the beginning, and then they grew up, and it was like, I don't know. It's just like, I love that film, and I completely understand that it's like everything about it is like bad, but in like a good way. Like, when you watch like Expendables and it's like, yeah, they're being cheesy on purpose because they're reminiscing. It felt like they're not reminiscing anything because it's the first time this is ever done, but they were right there anyways. Like, they were prepared. That's my guilty pleasure film. I love that film.
T?
Yo, mine. Okay, so I have one and then an honorable mention. So the first one would have to be Three Ninjas. Like, Three Ninjas was like my all-time favorite movie growing up. Like, I wanted to be one of those white kids, man. I was just like, I just was like, yo, I wanted that grandpa like that. I wanted to go off into camp and like learn karate and shit. Like, that was like my shit, man. It was like campy, like, like campy, like watered down, like karate that they were always doing. But I love that movie, man. I actually watched it recently, like I think maybe 2 months ago, and like still. Like, it doesn't hold up at all today, but I love that movie, man. Like, it's so dope. And then the honorable mention, no one will agree with this, but Beverly Hills Cop 3. That's like, it was probably like the worst of the franchise, but I actually really enjoyed it. And what they were supposed to do a continuation, like a fourth Beverly Hills Cop with Eddie Murphy, but they couldn't get that off the ground. Then it was going to be a TV series, and then that got canned. So yeah, we never actually got another one. But yeah, I grew up with the first movie, and I loved all three. So
you know, Three Ninjas.
Three Ninjas.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Was
cut
that?
I didn't mean to cut you off there. My bad. I was just saying.
No, I'm good.
Three Ninjas was always my like in between TMNT movie.
Like, yeah.
TMNT.
Yeah. So good, man.
So I'm going to say that I don't really, for me, I don't have a guilty pleasure film because all the ones that I consider to be guilty pleasures are things that are now called cult classics.
Oh, come on. That was so like
I can't, but let's see, like, for example, Demolition Man was like my shit. But the thing is, it's a cult classic film, so you can't say it's like a guilty pleasure. You could make arguments for it. Same with like TMNT or like any of the 90s.
TMNT was never a guilty pleasure for anybody, man.
Exactly. So I could say any guilty pleasure film, and everyone will be like, "Yo, man, that's the shit." So like, that's why I have a guilty pleasure TV series that I cannot defend. I cannot defend at all.
Let's hear this.
It's Teen Wolf, the TV series.
Interesting. I haven't seen it.
It is. Don't, man, just don't. Like, I will say that the only good things I can say are three. One, it's got attractive people in it. Two, it's got a really awesome mythos, like in terms of like the supernatural aspect of it. Really fantastic. And three, the comedy, specifically from Dylan O'Brien, the guy who's also in Maze Runner, he's awesome. That's about all I can say about that.
Okay, so a random question. I know it's not part of it, but how much did they deviate from the actual original movie? Because I love the movie
completely. Like
okay.
They don't even play like they joke about the fact that they're playing like lacrosse, and it's like a bad guy comes up. He's like, "You guys have played lacrosse? I mean, basketball's a real man sport," and like stuff like that. But like they don't. They stay so far away from it. So that's what one of my close friends, Adam Cowling, I'm calling you out for this. He got me to watch it, saying, "Dude, the supernatural mythology is so awesome. They do this, and this, and like this one character is really hilarious." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try it out." And I watched this stupid thing, and it took like in the first 3 episodes, I'm like, I gotta give it my 6 episodes. It's a 12 episodes first season. So I had to finish half the season. By that point, I wanted to know what the secret was. And so I had to finish the damn thing, and then I left it off at a cliffhanger. And then I was like, so I got stuck watching this ridiculously stupid show with the dumbest teeny bopper shit that I've ever seen, and I couldn't leave. I needed to know what happens. And there was just enough cool things happening that I'm like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. So that is my guilty pleasure, like TV series.
So now you'll go rewatch it.
I rewatch it when I'm sad and depressed. I'm like, I need to feel bad about myself.
Yeah. So when I reacted to your I don't have any guilty pleasure films, it's like, bro, why is your standard so high? Because it's like, you always gotta love some crappy movie.
To be honest, I think mine is worse because you guys maximum your guilty pleasure is 2 hours. Mine's 6 seasons long.
Okay,
yeah, that's true. That's commitment right there.
Yeah. And I can't defend it. It has 3 redeeming qualities.
Yeah, it's like a guilty pleasure marriage. I can get in at one night. I'm good.
I like that.
Yeah. Well, that's it for our guilty pleasures. I had to make that.
Alrighty.
All right. I think we're done for today.
Okay. Well, that is going to be a wrap for the Geeky Bros. I'm your boy Tactix.
It's Darcy.
And this is Big Geek Umar. Please like and subscribe and live long and prosper, y'all.
Live long and prosper, y'all.